conditions My name's Rick Cassavant. I'm the chair of the ZBA. Ask the other members just to identify themselves.
My name is Chris McGrail, Vice Chair.
Louis Carpenter, clerk.
And we have town council here, Amy Questel. Okay. Please note that this meeting is being made available to the public through an audio recording, which will be used to ensure an accurate record of proceedings produced in the minutes of the meeting. All comments made in open session will be recorded. PAC TV is providing this service live on Comcast/Xfinity Government Access Channel 9. Those without cable, visit YouTube for live streaming.
Excuse me, could you talk a little louder or bring the microphone?
Yeah, can't hear you. This microphone isn't, oh, that on? Okay, perfect.
Generally, they're for the TV only. It doesn't do anything for the room, so.
Rick, can you start over?
No. All right, so we continued meeting, case 6-24, 52 Plain Street. So we're gonna continue with that meeting tonight. And to start, we have Joe Diuti from the DPW Director. He wants to say something about the intersection. So Joe, if you're there, you can. Joe, you just gotta talk into one of the microphones.
Hi, everybody. Joe Diuti, DPW Director. Hi. Hey, thank you, Sabrina. The DPW is planning on the intersection in Lake Street to put an all-way, four-way stop sign, possibly with LED lighting. You've seen throughout other communities. Mass DOT is currently right now doing a traffic and speed study on that. They will supply us all materials. Hopefully, the study will be done and we can have the signs erected by September 25th of this year.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
So that's a definite, right? The four-way?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and now I'll turn it over to the applicant. Just any updates?
We have no new information provided. There was a couple of minor tweaks to the plans and discussion, but we have submitted those. There's no new set. That was the last set that was provided. So we're really getting to discuss the decision.
Okay. And you received the decision from council?
Yes.
Okay. But Amy, there was no comments back yet?
I did not receive any comments back
Okay.
from the applicant, no.
Okay.
Not from the applicant, our council did send an email back. There was just minor typos.
No, there was just one name.
Yeah, that's it.
No typos, just one name.
Just name.
No comments.
No comments.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we open it up to public comment? So if anyone wants to speak on the matter, you just got to come up to that microphone, just right in the middle here. Just say your name, your address.
Hi there, Brian Golden, 20 Lake Street. A couple of questions and a couple of comments. The first one, there'll be 21 units, it's 42 trash barrels. Is there provision for that? Those barrels will line Lake Street in the morning with school traffic. Can't imagine that's a good idea.
You guys,
On-site dump.
he's asking if, what the trash pickup situation's gonna be.
Trash pickup is
I think you gotta speak into the mic, sorry.
My name is Dean Harrison. I'm the consultant for the applicant. It's private trash pickup. We don't have the dates yet, but we do provide a trash location on the plan, and that will be done as, like I said, it's a private trash pickup.
The number of parking spots, under 40B, they give provision for the lesser number of spots needed for those types of locations. As I read the rule, it's mostly built around public transportation, of which there is none in Pembroke. I can't imagine you could allow 36 bedrooms without 36 plus parking spots. What if someone had a birthday party? Those people parking on the side of Lake Street? It's a dangerous intersection already. I can't imagine that would be beneficial to the town.
Okay.
there was a property value study done in 2017 about the impact of 40B. I think the interesting thing was it was done primarily on sellable units. Not only this one, but many coming into town are not units for sale, they're units for rent. And I would encourage anybody who lives in the half-mile radius to apply for a tax abatement if this goes through. It's not fair to you to follow certain bylaws of the town and then have them changed, without any input. So that one, a question about the approval process. Who actually signs off on this? When we get to a certain point, you guys review it, you say, hey, it's this, that, or the other thing. How does the approval process work? Who says yes or no?
Amy, you want to
Sure,
walk me through that?
sure. Amy Questle, Town Council. So it's a two-part process. The the subsidizing agency has to approve the applicant and the applicant's project with a project eligibility letter. So that was already done, and then the Zoning Board of Appeals issues a comprehensive permit.
It's already been issued?
No, they issue one.
It will issue. Now, the other thing is does this have any voting opportunity, straw poll from the town, any type of vote for, the way I view it is the board, others in the town represent the constituents. They should at least have a vote as to whether or not they approve of these projects. So is there an opportunity to vote on this?
Well, the application gets filed with the town, and then it comes before us as the board. We're appointed by the selectmen, and then we review the application, review the bylaws, and then we make the decision. The zoning board.
But there's no opportunity to vote, just to say, because I just feel like the pulse of the town should be weighed in these things. And I know these meetings, frankly, they're a formality, right? I feel like we go through kind of the motions, and I'm not faulting the board, but it doesn't get to the heart of the matter. I'm guessing most of the people here tonight are probably not in favor of this based on the density. My action now would be to represent the constituents of the town and not some other interest. The last thing I would say, and this probably weighs as heavy as any, is that my recommendation would deny the application based on the traffic study, which noted crash data, quote, were reviewed and summarized in the traffic study for the period of 2017 to 2021, actually dated at this point. Calculated crash rates at the intersection of Plain and Lake Street were found to be higher than the statewide and district averages. Furthermore, this is the thruway, the main thruway between the two schools, the junior high and the high school. Heavily trafficked by students every day. God forbid an accident there, it would be on the town for approving these things. When you let them out of the box, you can't put them back in.
You want to address the traffic? Yeah. Yeah, Kirsten, if you could just speak to the traffic and the crash data.
Kirsten Braun, I work for Chapel Engineering. I'm actually the peer reviewer, not the traffic engineer for the project. But specifically, I think it was brought up the crash data associated with the traffic study. The crash data was included up to 2021 just because that is the data that's available from the DOT. They haven't finalized any years beyond 2021, so that's the most recent year we can include. I did note that there was a fair amount of those crashes. I think there were 17 total over that 5-year period. Most of them were angle collisions, probably because of the speeds at the intersection and just the confusion with the stop signs. So I think, as was mentioned by the DPW director, that's something that could be rectified with the all-way stop. Certainly, one of the benefits of the all-way stop is that it reduces crashes, specifically angle-type collisions, which is what we're seeing here.
Can you come back after, like 3 years after that?
Excuse me, if you want to, it's fine, you just gotta do it in the mic and through me.
Durgan, Lapham Avenue. Can you come back after you put that in? Because there's been lots of things that have been told will be done, and they don't get done. And I don't live that far from that intersection. I go to the center every day. That's the way I go. And I mean, it's you put your life in your hands. Today now, there were tree trucks in that intersection, and I thought I'd be hit before I got to this meeting. So, and my other concern is, it's 1.4 acres. I live at 1.37, so can I put up 20 apartments? I mean, it just opens, no, it just opens it up to everybody else can do, you know what I mean? If you let this happen, I'm all for a business trying to make money. Times are tough. Why can't you put up 8 apartments? Or put up a couple of nice buildings? I mean, it just seems like so overcrowded. And as someone else said, there's no public transportation. If this was going in at the center of town, put it in the Stop and Shop building. I mean, we're not saying you can't put up apartment buildings, but this is a residential area, and it's not fair to the people that live there.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah, just gotta go to the microphone, just your name.
My name is Ignacio. I live right beside. I just want to. Somebody brought a point about the intersection, the traffic, and you brought a point about the four-way. Are we thinking about the buses with a two-way stop? It's overcrowded, super dangerous. With a 4, how are you going to do that? Can you explain to me the bus traffic in the morning, in the afternoon, and track and field, running kids? So, I mean, how are you going to address that? And actually, to your point, there are 2 schools. This is not just about the 7, 8 people living there. There's schools around. They run around, they bike, and all that 35 cars living there, and 70 people. You know, I live there. I can't even fit in a party outside 70 people. It's super overcrowded. How are you going to get 60 to 70 people there? Can you explain that to me? How? In what conditions are they living? Where is the affordability? What is the affordability? Thank you.
Yeah, I can only speak to the traffic part of it. As was mentioned, I think the DOT is actually involved in this always stop, which is actually of great advantage to the town, just because they follow everything by the book. They'll make sure that putting in the always stop is the right thing to do, not just to. It's not just a novelty thing. They're going to make sure that they'll take a look at the crash data, the traffic data. They'll certainly be aware of the bus traffic through the area, and they'll definitely analyze that and make sure that it's going to work before putting it in. Part of that, I think I mentioned it at the last meeting, is that it certainly should be analyzed before, being installed, which I don't think the town's required to even go through the DOT. Their town roads, they could just put it up there, but they're following all the proper requirements to make sure that it's the right thing to do. So they'll certainly look into that. As far as in the future, to see, if it does reduce the incidence of crashes, that's definitely something that would be really beneficial to look at. Even if the DOT data is not available by then, you can certainly pull crash data specifically from the police department, and that should help kind of see, the change in incidence of crashes out there, because there have been, as was mentioned, a higher than average crash rate out there, and the crash rate is based on the volume of traffic and the number of crashes going through that intersection. So for the volume of traffic and the number of crashes, it is pretty high. It's well above the crash rate. So
It's a school road, too.
Yeah.
It's a school road.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, what good a stop sign?
Guys, if we're gonna make,
See school buses.
excuse me, sir, if we're gonna, I welcome the comment, but we gotta do this in an orderly fashion. We can't just be screaming out, okay? If you wanna make a comment, just come up to the microphone, and that's fine.
Hi, my name is Christine Noguer. I'm a lifelong Pembroke resident. I grew up here. I raised my kids here. I'm a Pembroke Public School teacher. I live on the route that is in question. I see my students running after school every day between the high school and the middle school. And I worry about them as things are. If we put this amount of living space, if they develop this space into something that is going to have at least 30 to 40 cars coming in and out at an intersection, with or without stop signs, there are blind spots on that intersection that you really can't do much about. which leads into another question about the existing building on the corner, which somehow is also part of the development, which at the last meeting was called into question, and I'm wondering if there's any answer on that. Is this affordable housing, 3 buildings, plus a house on the corner that's going to remain for further income, which contributes to the blind spot? Or has that been settled? Because I know that it was an issue, and I would love it if somebody could address that. But before they do, I'd also like to say that as the neighbor, as the abutter, I've looked at the plans, and we've got these 3 buildings with all of their water being flushed out to my property, basically. We have lived here for 20 years in this 58 Plain Street address. There has been not a year gone by that we don't have to use a sump pump to keep our basement healthy. Now, what am I supposed to do as a Pembroke resident with limited funds? What am I supposed to do if I have 60 people flushing their showers, their toilets, their laundry towards my property? What is that going to do to all of our water level, the water table? Not just me. It's going to affect across the street. It's going to affect down the road. It's going to affect across the street on the other side. It's going to affect all of us. The water table is historically high. And everybody knows that if you live in that area, unfortunately, you have to deal with a sump pump. How are we going to deal with this? I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm afraid it's going to compromise the structure of the home that I've been investing in for 20 years. That is a real concern of mine, and I would love it if that as well could be addressed. So we have the house on the corner that should be addressed. We have the water table that should be addressed. And I'd also like to say, on the back of what my neighbor was saying about how we are represented by our officials, when I went with my concern about this project, I went right into my town hall and I spoke to my representative, and Mr. Wandel looked straight at me and he said, "You can't do anything about it." Those were his words. And I don't think Pembroke residents should be treated that way. So I hope that you can address some of my concerns. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Deb, if you could come up and maybe just speak to the concern about the water, and then we can address the house or the extra, it's another unit, right?
It is, there's 2 houses, one's.
Right.
My name is Deborah Keller with Merrill Engineers as the site civil peer review consultant for the project. I will speak to the groundwater. So when we were doing our peer review, we did ask for the applicant to conduct soil testing within the area of where the drainage facilities would go so that we could evaluate groundwater and proper setbacks. There are required setbacks to make sure that any infiltration systems are 50 feet away from any existing soil absorption systems. So we asked them to track down documentation on all of the abutting properties so that those evaluations could be done. And that is within the package that was provided to us from a groundwater perspective. So there was also requirements so that the soil testing that they completed would show that their infiltration basin had the proper separation to groundwater, so that they need at least at a minimum a 2-foot separation from the bottom of the basin to the determined seasonal high groundwater elevation that was observed when they were doing the soil testing. And I do believe, I don't have a copy of the soil tests, but they, I do check for them so that they are done by a certified soil evaluator. Not anybody can go out and just dig a hole and write a log. It needs to be someone who has been licensed to perform that task.
Thanks.
Sure. With regard to soil testing,
With regard to how it's not going to affect our properties.
what I'm saying is we can look at is the soil testing on the site that we ask them to do. They're required to do soil testing within the location of their stormwater basin, which is along the property line, behind the building. So if you have Lake Street, you have the parking lot, you have the building, and then behind the building, along that property line, is their stormwater basin.
Which is my backyard.
Yeah, so we ask them to perform soil testing within that location to confirm groundwater elevations, which is what we want to see is seasonal high groundwater. So we're not just looking at them to dig in July and say, oh, there's no groundwater. We look at for staining in the soil so that we know what those fluctuations when in the spring and in the fall when you have higher groundwater conditions. We want that as our design level. So we look at that, what we call seasonal high groundwater, and we use that mark and say you need to be 2 feet, at least 2 feet above that with the bottom of their infiltration system, so that we make sure they're not digging down into groundwater, number one. Number two, we need at least 2 feet from the bottom of the basin to groundwater so that they make sure that they have that infiltration component for that stormwater facility. Hoping that helps.
So therefore, there's no evidence that 60-plus residents' use of water is going to make my backyard flood?
So the use that you're talking about is for septic. What I was talking about is from the stormwater, surface runoff, and the drainage coming off the site. When it comes to septic, the septic systems for the buildings will be underneath the parking lot between Lake Street and the building itself, and those will be reviewed through the Board of Health. Have they been filed?
We have not filed with the board.
Okay. So, and typically, one of the things that I would anticipate the Board of Health asking for is a mounding analysis for each one of those systems, which is where they would get into looking at what the impact of each system would be.
Excuse me, just gonna respect totally your inform, your credentials and but that can't be the 21 years that we have lived there. Your documentation is hypothetically thinking how much water is gonna raise, thinking about the people who are gonna live there. That people don't live there. You're doing statistics, hypothetical situation. I can tell you right now that I've been there for 21 years. Just the water that you guys are going to be sending to get the waters and the flowers and everything is going to go to my yard. So it's not just the septic. It's a very reduced space. It's a problem. When you have 3 or 4 acres, things filter down.
Yeah.
So I respect your study, but you are hypothetically talking. I don't have your credentials, but I know hypothetically talking. I've been there for 21 years, and I can tell you, I'm going to get water, I'm going to get damage to my property. What is the town going to do to help me? That's actually a minor concern compared to the traffic. There is absolutely no way, and thank you for your report, the 4-way stops and that thing. There's no way that's going to fix, that's going to increase actually last time I approached the police department here, and I told them that, please do the 4-way stop, because I've seen so many accidents, and actually, by the way, 80% of those accidents end in injury. So they're serious. They are not bandits here. They are pretty serious, okay? The police told me there's no way they can do the 4-way. That would be even worse. Okay, it's not the DOT. That's fine. But they know. They are here, like me. We are Pembroke residents, and we know what it works and what it doesn't work. And that's what we're hoping that the town will do for us as good representatives. However, that's not happening. Thank you.
Yeah, just go right up to the mic.
Hi, my name is Pat Gibbons. Excuse excuse me, I'm not immediately affected by it, and I haven't studied a lot of it, but my ears rang when you say four-way. Down the street, there's a four-way stop, and it takes about 20 minutes for the guy on the right to decide, and then the guy on the left doesn't know what he's doing, and the guy in front of me almost hits me, and then I'm confused by the three of them. So it's kind of hard to say a four-way is like a great thing. I think they're horrible. I think the way you have it now is almost better, but you probably put curbs in and go around different ways, but. So as I understand, it's 20 units in the house stays, so that's 21. That's 30 bedrooms, correct? 36 bedrooms? So if one person per bedroom, that's 60 people. Probably close to 100 people. If they have someone to stay over, they'll probably have to stay in because the septic won't fit it. But as far as like, and I have engineers in my family, my son's one, so I know if an engineer says this dirt's good up to a foot, I gotta remove 60,000 tons of dirt from my septic. So it's great, but you can take 3 engineers, because I put in septics before, I paid for them, I didn't put them in. 3 engineers who do 3 different things, and it costs tens of thousands of dollars for a couple of feet per engineer. I think we all know common sense wise, it doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. You know, a four-way, it's so busy down there right now. There's no way it fits. That's common sense though. There isn't a lot of common sense in this world right now, but, you know, over 100 people, you know, that's almost no gas. It just doesn't work. But, you know, I'm not against, I own a business, but I can just guess this is gonna be a nightmare. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you, everybody. My name is Danny Noguer. I live on 58 Plain Street, right next to the property. I'm the son of these 2 fine folks here who've already spoken. I've grown up my whole life in Pembroke. I am an Eagle Scout here, and next year I plan to go to college and study government. So this is what I, want to do for the rest of my life. So thank you for letting me up here. I came here today for an exchange of ideas and reflection of the will of Pembroke residents. And I think I can speak for most of the folks here when I say that people want to know what is there to be done. I think this point's already been brought up before. What's the democratic process here? We have a select board and we have these meetings here. And I want to know, is there some delegate model that's taking place here, or is this just informational to tell us what you guys are doing before you go and do it? And so you can hear our concerns and say, okay, thank you for your concerns, and then just carry on. I want to know where the will of the people is being represented here, and if there's something that we can do, essentially. I'm just genuinely curious about what the appeal process is here, or if there is one. I think that was very quickly glossed over. What is the appeal process here? Can we do something, or is this just an informational meeting about why you're doing this, and then you go ahead and do it? Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Sure.
Process you want me to?
Sure, so the board has an application before them, and they have a few options. They can approve the application as it was submitted, they can approve the application with conditions, or they can deny the application. The appeal process is that if the application is denied or approved with conditions that the developer does not agree with, the developer has the opportunity to appeal to the Housing Appeals Committee, which is a subset of EOHLC, the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. They can appeal to the Housing Appeals Committee within 20 days. If the project is approved with an outright approval, or it's approved with conditions, and an abutter is not happy, an abutter can appeal the decision within 20 days to land court or the Superior Court.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just a couple follow-up questions. as I understand the project, it's really 3-to-1 standard housing to affordable housing. Is that correct?
It has to be 25% affordable.
Only because when I see these in the town, we're chasing this 10% affordable housing. When we add these projects and 2/3 of it are not affordable, we are constantly chasing our own tail to get to 10%. The town should not be allowing these unless, if they're anything less than 50%. And maybe that's not feasible with the laws, but just an observation. Anytime we approve these, we fall further behind the 10%. It doesn't serve the town well. I wonder, and to your point about the appeals process, I can't imagine you can get anything more on that property than what's already been proposed. My thought would be the town should stand up and say, no. Let them go the appeal process. What's the worst that can happen? My sense is the history has been the town always wants to exercise some control in this. There is no control in this. We have zero. You have all these people here, and I am going to take a poll. All those in favor of the project, raise your hand. All those who are not in favor of the project. So it's clear what the town wants, and I think the frustration is we don't know how to say, hey, we don't want that in town. And I'm not trying to be hard on the builders. They own a property. Follow the town bylaws, build whatever you want. We all followed the same set of covenants when we bought in the town. It rubs me to no end that somebody can step in and say, no, I have a different interest. I'm going to use it in a different way. That's not what we signed up for. It's not what we paid tax dollars for. The last thing I would say is push back on the state. Route 3 has been the same road since 1963. And every one of these towns is putting in these density projects that's not serving anybody. And if the state's going to tell you you have to do it, then push back and say not until you make the improvements for our infrastructure. Thank you.
My name's Connor Givens. I live at 153 Lake Street, which is right across the street from the bus lot. So, excuse me. A couple of my concerns are there are going to be pets allowed. So we're going to have 30 units, potentially 30 dogs with no yard. Where are these pets going to go? That'd be one. In mine. And then my new lawn that I just put in is now becoming probably a parking lot because of there's no parking for guests or visitors. So that's another concern. And then I know there you spoke about at one of the last meetings the ability for a fire truck to get in there, but have we considered a fire truck and police getting down the power lines now? Because if you have 170 to 100 people living in an area with no yard, they're just going to wander through the woods, the power lines, have parties, fires, and just the ability for police and fire to get down there safely and be able to kind of put these fires out that are going to start and pick up all the trash. And a lot of these people that live on the street, I'm sure don't have fences bordering the power lines, because really why would you unless you had animals to contain, but like now these people have free reign to all these people's backyards and properties. So just a couple of my concerns there, and yeah, I think, and then also too, I think it was the traffic study was to 2021. There's been plenty of accidents. I've only lived there for 2 years. I've lived in Pembroke for 28 years, but I think I can probably count over 10 since I moved in 2 years ago, with the latest being on April 4th. There was a head-on crash there. It took, I think, 16 or 17 minutes for the police and fire to respond, so that could be a concern too if we have a lot of calls coming into the 36 units / 100 people. So those are some of my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Christine Noguera again. There was a question in the back about when the comments would be addressed. I think several things have come up, and I guess I stepped first in line to bring up again the house, the structure on the corner, and how that has been included or excluded from the development of this property. If you could address that, please.
Sure, that unit is going to be, it's part of the project. It's not being taken down.
So I thought that, so now it's,
That's one.
I thought that wasn't legal.
No, there was some issue with them trying to subdivide the lot to create a separate lot, but they can't do that. So that has to be part of the project. So that's considered a unit.
So now we have 4 buildings going up on 1.4 acres.
There's,
Well, I understand that. I've been there for over 20 years. I understand.
so there's.
But I'm saying there's going to be 4 structures on the,
Yes.
on 1.4 acres?
Is that part of the project?
That's-
Too? It's part of the 40B project?
Yes,
Yep,
I don't see that in the plan.
it's right here.
it's in the plan.
Hi, my name is Sue Parkinson. I do live in that neighborhood around the corner. I'm a lifelong resident of Pembroke. I have uncles that have developed housing in Pembroke over the years, hundreds of homes. Yes, I voiced the same concerns of the number of buildings, people on 1.41 acres. Okay, I live around the corner on an acre. As other residents had said, when can I do this? When can I have 70 to 100 cars in my yard, up and down the street if someone has a birthday party or such? It just doesn't seem feasible. With all the hard surface that that lot is going to have between housing, parking lot, anything else that you have to have there, where is that water all going to go? Have you ever had your house and you don't have your downspouts on, and the water just comes right off the roof and floods your yard? That's what it's going to be in that neighborhood. It's just crazy. There's no sidewalks for their children to play in. I am all for affordable housing, and Pembroke is a lovely town to raise your family in. You can't get any better. But this is not the site to be putting that type of development on. Also, has anybody looked into the background of the builder? Has he done this type of development before? Was there not his name associated with land in Wareham, a residential lot that he was trying to do the same thing? Is that ongoing? Where's the security for the people that are going to be renting those units from him? You got to help them out too, should this come to fruition. But again, there is just no way 30 housing units on 1.41 acres of land, and all the parking, the pets, the children, the traffic, the needs that those people are going to have, it's not fair to them in the long run. The only one that's getting a good deal out of this is the developer. But what has he done in the past, this size development? Have we looked at that and how it went over within the towns if he's built a development like that? I just wanted to throw that out there because there's so much to think about.
So as far as the developer's background, that happens at the mass housing process, not with us.
Okay.
That gets vetted through them first.
But they become residents of our town, and they deserve to live in a nice town, a nice environment, a nice neighborhood, a safe neighborhood. How many children are going to be running around? How many pets are going to be hit by cars? There's no sidewalks, there's no nothing. That falls to the residents of Pembroke. He's not putting in sidewalks. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
It's very concerning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hey, go ahead.
Rick Savant, 35 High Street. Just had a few things to say about the project. Just wanted to read quickly from the zoning bylaws, the purpose of the bylaw. It's enacted amongst, in part, it says it's enacted to lessen congestion on the streets, prevent overcrowding, conserve the value of land and buildings, to encourage the most appropriate use of land throughout the town, and to promote the natural, scenic, and aesthetic qualities of the town. I feel that this project doesn't do any of those things. Runs in opposition to all of them. They're asking to put a multifamily use in a residential district, which they need relief to do, district where it's not allowed. And this lot, under the current zoning, can only support one single-family house with an 800 square foot accessory apartment. We're proposing at least 30. I didn't really get an answer about the house. Is that additional units, or didn't really hear anything about that? Another 5 more units? I also wanted to note that I see in the peer review comments for the waiver list they requested was stated that it is very vague. It certainly is, but I noticed one of the requests was for a rear setback to one of the buildings. Building 3 does not make the rear setback of 25 feet from the Plain Street frontage, which doesn't seem fair. Building 3 is the only one, or the closest one to the nearest residence there. It should at least meet the setback if this thing would be approved. It doesn't seem fair that there's plenty of room to adjust it so it can make that setback. I don't see why. It seems like an oversight that it doesn't meet the rear setback requirement. And to me, that should require a variance versus just a waiver request for a property line setback. I also have a question about the lighting. Maybe you talked about that at previous meetings, but the parking lot lighting, is that on timers? Is that going to be on all night? Does anybody have any
I can have,
information about that?
Can you speak to the lighting? Thank you.
Yes, we'll have timers for the lightings.
Will it be on all night?
No, that's what timers usually do, is shut the lights off at night, and they will be on sensors also.
We've got sensors.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's appropriate places for a project like this in town, but this clearly isn't one of them. It's not fair. I know we have to get to our numbers in town for the housing, but it doesn't seem fair that we should do it at the, detriment to the people who live near it. Thank you.
Thank you. Did they get a waiver for that?
Hi, I'm Abigail Niven, and I live at 52 Plain Street. I just wanted to ask, when you say 42 or 40B project people, who do you guys plan on trying to get in there? And do you have a plan for who you would like to get in there?
Yes, as a requirement under 40B, we have to perform a lottery for the affordable units. What that takes is, prior to pulling our building permit, we have to submit a plan to the state that meets all fair housing marketing and affirmative fair action. With that comes tenant selection plan. Most towns have a local preference, which allows up to 70% of local residents to be first come on the lottery. They get a preference. That could be teachers, firemen, policemen. It could be elderly parents coming back if the kids live in the community. It could be kids allowed to come back and live in the community. So there is a wide range. I think it was mentioned earlier about just the affordable units and the count. Being a rental development, these all count towards your 10%. Now, I know that really doesn't do much for your concerns, but the fact is they all do count. So yes, you're right, you develop, you lose in count, but any single family house built, single family on an affordable development, it's only the 25%. So it does work a little bit towards your 10%. However, the town has not made strides to meet the 10%. At this time, that's why we're before you.
Thank you.
I am the next neighbor, and just a question. When I got to Pembroke 21 years ago, I thought I would be basically sharing my house, a small house like the one close to me, with people who are owners. We couldn't afford them. We managed to do it, working hard. I think what you're building there is everything but affordable, or to people, yes, but nobody else. When I started paying taxes 21 years ago, I thought I would be sharing my property or dealing with the owners, not 70 renters. Why are you guys changing that? I'm going to be basically next door to 70 renters. We are not talking about just the developer. It's a wrong idea. It's great for him because he's making money. But beside that, where is my benefit? I bought the house there 21 years ago, and I couldn't afford it, but I managed to do it. That's what I'm asking people. Managed to do it. Work hard. I never pay taxes here saying, now I'm gonna have to share my space in town with 70 people. That I told you that don't even feed on a party, less on a building. What does the town has to say on that? Forget about all these reports and things like that. What is the town doing for me? Because that's not what I got. That's not what I got when I got here in Pembroke. Where is your position here? You have nothing to say here? What is your position? Because the elections are coming. So we want to hear what is your position.
We're not elected, right?
No, but it's good to know the town position.
Right, well, we're appointed here, we're volunteers.
And that's good to know too.
Right. The select boards they're elected.
Yeah.
And they appoint the zoning board.
Okay.
Okay. As council said, people submit applications for a variety of reasons in front of the ZBA or the planning board. Anyone who wants to file an application, if they have grounds, they can do that. And we get to look at each application by itself and determine if it meets the criteria, if they can be allowed a variance or a special permit, or in this case, 40B. With 40B, we're a little more hamstrung because at the state level, this likely gets approved.
For 70 renters.
We don't know that.
No, well,
We don't know.
we don't know it, but if you look at the history, I know we've been talking about historical pieces of this project, and the history is, if it gets, and I'm not saying whether we're gonna allow it or not, if it gets denied here, they'll appeal it to the state, and then they're gonna get most likely gonna get the exact project they submitted without any conditions, without any protection.
And I would push on the density.
I'm just letting you guys know the process, all right? I can't speculate on projects and how it's gonna affect someone else's property that lives around there. That's not what my job is, that's not my job.
So the town cannot do anything because that's not what, when I moved to Pembroke, that is not really what, that's not, I haven't been paying taxes for this.
I think when you're talking about the town, you sound like you're talking more about the select board. We're the zoning board. We're not elected, we're not paid. We're here volunteering our time. And
I believe they vote, right?
Hang on.
Did they vote?
We gotta take these applications in as they come. I don't make policy in the town.
I think that's the question, who does the approval? And kudos to you guys, I know you guys are.
Just come up to the mic, just so we can hear, it's for the TV.
But that's the root of the question, who does the approval, right? If I went and applied for something, I'd want to know, hey, you go through a process, you file whatever you file, and then these guys either say yes or no.
For a 40B?
For anything in town, right? Like if I came to the ZBA and I said, hey, I want to do this, that, or the other thing, you notify my abutters, sooner or later, you guys have to give, hey, we're going to approve this as planned, or we're going to ask for changes.
Right.
I think that's what we're all trying to figure out, like, is this just a formality to getting approval? Or is the town going to fight for the constituents to say, hey, the constituents don't want it, and yes, there's 40B, and if it goes to the state, we lose a little bit of control. My point would be, what else could you lose over there? What else could you lose? And I would push on the infrastructure for Route 3, no public transportation, no sidewalks, no town sewer, like, add it all up. There's not the
And I
type of
appreciate that,
infrastructure.
but that kind of, I'm not gonna go push to the state to get sidewalks. I understand what you're saying, but that's just not what we're gonna do.
But I think you could deny it based on that. You could say, hey, our recommendation to whoever it is in town that gives the checkbox is a yes or no. You could say, the concerns we heard were the following, and here's why we don't approve it as presented. And the builder can then go back and present something else, a single-family colonial, he can sell for $800 and we're all happy. Or they can continue on the path they are, which is what none of us want. We didn't sign up for, to this gentleman's point, he paid taxes under a set of covenants called bylaws. Just to enforce those. And then when this comes along, and I get it, it goes out of your hands to the state. But if people just keep railroading these things through, that's what happens. The next guy comes along and says, great, I'm going to go to Pembroke because I can get my project through.
Well, I will say the last one we had that was denied was appealed.
It was appealed and approved by the Housing Appeals
Brian Murphy
Committee
up on Water Street?
with 9
Right.
conditions, whereas a standard 40B decision drafted by myself or another town council has approximately 100 to 130 conditions. They ignored every single one of our proposed conditions,
And
and
I
they
know this-
allowed the project with 9 conditions.
And I know this is difficult for the town, but you can still push the legal levers. We could fight that legally.
No, it's over.
Why not?
It's done. The state made their decision.
My sense is you,
So 40B was enacted in 1969, and quite honestly, the best thing that could happen would be if the legislatures changed 40B. It's a state law.
Agreed.
And so,
That's why I want the town's pushback.
but
Stoughton's
the
pushing
town,
back,
the pushing,
Milton's pushing back.
that's not 40B.
Well, some of those are density housing on
But that's not 40B, that's completely different.
Well, it's the same
So-
premises. They're saying if you don't give it to us, we're gonna go 40B.
It's just 40B is different than what you're talking about with the commuter rails, and
But I
that's
think
different.
the town say, hey, in order to
But we
exercise
can't-
some control.
We can't, we're not, I mean, you're talking like the town politicians pushing back, and that's not us. I mean, we
True,
can't,
but
we
you guys
can't
are
do
the
that.
ZBA could say, based on the structure of our zoning bylaws, this does not fit. Our recommendation to whoever it would be, the selectmen, to our legal counsel, would be not to approve as constituted.
But that's 40B, that's a state statute, that's not, it trumps our zoning bylaws.
So at this point, this doesn't conform to anything under ZBA, so why would we entertain it if it's not 40B then?
It is 40B.
It is 40B.
Well, it is 40B, so then you guys could push it to the state. The only thing this allows is some flexibility in terms of how it's designed, maybe some of the aesthetics, right? Is that?
Well, no, we'll take everyone's comments, and we're gonna review the application and the submissions, and there was fire department, there's engineering, there's a lot to look at, and then we take all that information, ultimately would close the hearing, and we'd deliberate and try to make a decision. And there may be reasons, like we denied the Water Street one. There's others that have been approved in the past, Copperwood. You try to make the best decision you can based on.
I'm not faulting you guys. I know you're trying to.
No, I know,
do a
I'm
good
just
job, you
saying, that's the
volunteers.
process. We gotta take everything in, we gotta give everyone a chance who applies. They have just as much right to apply as anyone else.
Absolutely. I just
And-
think as a town, we just wonder, hey, where is our voice in this? We all pay taxes here, we follow the rules of the town, and then something gets thrown on you, and it's like, wow, my neighbor's gonna put up an apartment building, and I have no say in that?
But again,
I
it's.
think at the state level is where your fight starts.
Yeah.
I think when everybody goes to the polls and votes for whoever they vote for is where it starts. It's a very different, sir, trust me, I understand your plight. But that's fine, we can disagree.
The other thing I think would be helpful in the town is if we propose to the selectmen that all these projects should go up to a town vote. And then at least that way they'll hear the constituents' voice in this, and
And I hear what you're saying, but it's a state statute, and the application's filed, nothing's changing in the state law between now and this application.
we can not approve it and let them go to the state, and then, yes, we lose a little bit of control, but they have to go that route. And when I look at these, I'm like, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I can't imagine you could get any more than 36 bedrooms on a 1 acre or 1.4 acre piece of property. What would we have to lose by saying, no, the town's not approving it as constructed?
Well, like town council said, and I'll kind of just end this here, is that you're gonna go from having 100+ conditions to protect the town, to make the project better, to potentially 9.
I guess.
So all the engineering, the engineers, the traffic, all that, we're trying to make this project, make sure it's safe and viable and it works as best it can. And look, we might vote it down. I don't know. We haven't decided yet. There's 2 other board members that have to vote. But as far as the process, that's how it works. You gotta gather everything, and then we can try to make the project work as best we can. The only really reason to deny these is, it's gonna be a major environmental issue.
Well, traffic study, right? Traffic study. clearly pointed out.
Environmental would have to be, so.
Dangerous intersection, clearly stated.
And that's part of the the process that we're going through. We're looking at all that, the traffic studies. And that's what we gotta do,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just have a question. If you deny it and it goes to the state, what appeals, does the state notify you? Do you go before the state and fight it for the reasons why you would have denied it? Do you give us a chance, or is it just 4 men in an office that
Like, Amy does this every day, so I'll let her
So
come.
what's the procedure?
She can tell you the process.
So the appeal goes to the Housing Appeals Committee, and they do notify us. We have to put on an entire case. There has to be a significant local concern.
Which would you, is this bigger than the Water Street concern?
Oh, no. The local concern has to be either an environmental concern. It's not just how many people are opposed to it.
Right.
It's, so on Water Street, I felt that we had a environmental concern.
And they didn't listen to you?
They did not. They did not. If you ask anyone what your chances are in front of the Housing Appeals Committee, you would hear that they're very, very low. They are very developer friendly.
Okay, so we don't, as residents paying taxes, nobody has a voice other than the developer? Right.
No, that's not true. So we go to at the HAC, we go to a hearing,
Okay.
which is
I'm
technically a trial.
trying to ask, will we be notified? Like, can we go to the hearing, or is it you?
It's open. It's a public
Because
hearing.
I never saw anything for the Water Street.
Well, Water Street was during COVID. So, interestingly, since COVID, the HAC does conduct everything still remotely.
Yeah, of course. And again, I mean, I'm listening to people. I don't think we're saying he doesn't have a right to use his property like all of us. But 21 units, 35 bedrooms, with only 30 spots, 2 of them are handicapped. So you only have really 28 usable spots. So where's everyone? Just can you get up at the microphone and tell us, where do you think people?
So one thing that's just important to note is that with regard to the parking spots,
Yes.
they're only required to provide 25 under your current zoning bylaw.
So can you change the current zoning bylaw?
That has to happen at town. That has to happen at town meeting.
Wish I could, but I can't change.
Why didn't we do that before, though? I mean, why would we only allow 25 spots for 35 bedrooms?
So your parking right now under your zoning bylaw, your parking is based on bedrooms.
Okay, right,
And
which is 35.
So based on that, they only need 30 parking spots. I mean,
And
they
they
only
have
need 20, I'm
28.
sorry, they only need 25.
Okay.
They are proposing 30.
Right,
And
and I saw 2 of them are handicapped.
There are 21 units. They are a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms.
Which
So
total 35 bedrooms.
there has to be, at least, under the state law, there has to be at least 10% of those units have to be 3-bedroom. That is under the law.
Okay.
And then, so they have, I think it's 8 1-bedrooms, 6 2-bedrooms.
I counted
But-
35 bedrooms. Is
Right.
that, do you know 35 bedrooms? Is that what you have?
It's on the drawings.
But are you the person that should know how many bedrooms you're trying to?
Ma'am, we have presented our information to the board like we are supposed to,
Okay.
all right?
I agree with you.
So
There's
you don't know how
35
many
bedrooms.
bedrooms?
No, there's 35. No, I
Okay,
agree.
35
Yes,
bedrooms.
sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't know
Okay,
you were asking
35
that.
bedrooms,
Yes.
and you have 28 parking spots for 35 bedrooms.
30 parking
Well,
spots.
2 of them are handicapped, so you have to have a handicap plate, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe there, what if there's nobody that needs a handicap plate? What is the price of the units? Do we know that?
That was within the project eligibility letter. They can really.
What
yep.
is the price of a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom?
The rents, current
The rent.
rents? Give me a few minutes.
That should roll right off your tongue. I mean,
Ma'am, I do many of these,
okay.
all right? First of all, they're not just for Pembroke, they're a regional, so I'll give you what the rents are for this region.
Okay.
So just give me a few minutes.
So for the zoning board, do you have anything to do with street parking? Like,
No.
can you say no parking?
No, I'm
Then
not.
that's not fair to people that,
I know, I'll address it. So currently, our zoning, we don't make up the zoning.
so you're the zoning board, but you don't
We
make the
enforce
zoning?
the zoning. You
Okay.
can come in and say, I need a variance or a special permit, I want to do something. And then you have the zoning enforcement officer, who's the building inspector. He goes out and actually enforces the zoning. We sort of interpret and decide if you get a variance or not with this project. The parking bylaws, as they sit now, they have more parking than is required under the bylaw. They don't even need a waiver. We don't set the bylaws. That's done at town meeting.
Town meeting.
So
Sabrina, town town meeting, we need to change the parking, I guess, right?
It's all your.
I don't know.
She
What
wanted,
about on-street parking?
she wanted to know how
What
to
are-
change the
What are the
zoning
law,
bylaw.
what is it for street parking right now? Like, if they don't have parking, are they gonna park on the street?
Okay, so the warrant for business for the fall, because our town meeting now from May 13th, that warrant's
It's already
closed.
closed.
Correct, but in August, they'll open the warrant for the fall town meeting, which is October 23rd, I think, third Tuesday in October. The planning board recommends zoning bylaw changes. They are responsible for that. So the administrative assistant for the planning board would invite you
Right.
and welcome you to a meeting, say in June or July, to have that conversation to get the planning board to sponsor a zoning bylaw amendment. just
I
like
mean,
you're
I
talking
think if the apartments were like by the train and people didn't have cars, maybe that would be all right, but it's in the middle of no, you can't get anywhere there. Just a little store. I mean, that, and so.
Thank you.
Quick note here on the bylaws, copy of the bylaws here. Off-street parking access loading requirements, residence, business A, resident commercial districts. For multi-unit dwellings, 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. This is Pembroke bylaws. So based on that, that would not conform. And I echo the concern that if there was no parking in the building, they're gonna park on the side of Lake Street, which would enhance the danger of that intersection. I think that needs to be contemplated.
2 spaces per unit, 1
All right, thank you.
per bedroom. They did it per bedroom.
Yeah.
You wanna,
I do have
wanna-
some,
go
let
ahead.
me, first of all, address some misconceptions out there. First of all, the reason 40B is still here is because the folks of Massachusetts, about 10 years ago, voted to keep the law. It was up as part of a referendum to eliminate 40B, and the Commonwealth, majority of the people voted to keep it. Okay? This is not a way to bypass all local zoning. This is a way to provide housing to communities that have not reached their 10%. If you want to be an active community or an active town, there are many steps you could have taken or still can take to do that. One is an approved housing production plan, which is basically allows you to basically put measures in place, which if you meet a percentage of 1% of your number of growth in a year, you have 2 years off from any comprehensive permit. You meet 0.5%, you get 1 year off. So I understand you're all frustrated and this happens. I've been doing this for over 35 years, and I hear the same things at every meeting. I have an affordable development going up next to me. Right? I understand. 30 years, you've been in town, 25, lived your whole life. We get that. But it's also a responsibility of everybody in this town, everybody in this community, and everybody in the state to provide affordable housing. Even the affordable housing, excuse me, sir, let me finish, please. Affordable housing, even right now, is for people earning 80% of median income. Based on last year's income, the median income from one person in this area, which is based on the Boston, Cambridge, Quincy Metro Fair Market area, is $91,000. That's an 80%, right? Excuse me, sir, this is data that is correct. This is factual data, sir. 2-person, 104,000. Now we have this gentleman right here, he's leaving to go to school, going back to college. I have kids, 25, 24. They're not even close to making median income. And they went to good colleges. And kids coming out of trade school, same thing. So I know that's because you're the abutters, you're gonna deal with the most of this, but you wanna talk to the community, you've got a planning department that will work to get this thing settled. In the sense that you are ways you can take control of this now.
My planning board member told me I can't do anything about it.
Ma'am, I'm telling you, look at the websites. It's called Housing Production Plan. Write it down.
But it was my representative, my Pembroke representative, who right in the eye.
I can't tell you why he's doing it.
You're bringing your documentation, we're bringing our documentation. Why is yours is better than mine?
guys, we
I'm
gotta,
not. I'm
you gotta
just
talk
saying.
into the mic if you're gonna speak.
I'm just saying that people consider affordable housing
as low-income housing. This means that somebody living there with one person, net of utilities, has to pay roughly right now $2,500. That's affordable.
What's the market rate?
The market rate will depend when we build it, what the market will bring. So that's what they are. I can tell you the rents right now, if it's basically one bedroom, would be under the guidelines, we could charge up to $2,500, $2,800, and $3,100. All right, we just recently had a project in Oxford. Just recently it was appealed. The developer negotiated from 144 units down to 109 units, plus a bunch of additional concessions, more fencing, more trees. Went up to the HAC, took 2 years, a lot of expense, and basically it got overturned. He got 144 units back and had to provide nothing in return. And that's because the town didn't want him to hook up to sewers. And that was, so I understand. We're trying to work with you. That's why we're doing this with you all, with the board, to come up with mitigation, and we have made some mitigation. We can't address everybody's concerns. If we did, I wouldn't be here. So,
Thank you. Just your name again,
Danny Noguer,
Okay.
58 Plain Street. Just a couple of comments, respectfully. I think that the argument has been kind of twisted here to make it seem like we're against affordable housing or 40B housing or housing in general. We're not. And I know that you're also bringing up a not in my backyard argument that you think that we're trying to bring. It's not just the fact that it's in our backyard, which, yeah, of course we're not in favor of that. No one really is when there's housing going up next year to your home. But our main concern is that we're against housing that doesn't fit. We're against housing that's not logical. Like 100 people here have come up with papers that say it's not in direct violation, but this housing doesn't make sense because of this. Housing doesn't make sense because of this. And that's just a comment I wanted to make. And then second of all, you guys have laid out the process that is to come with the approval of the project. If I've heard correctly, you guys, the zoning board, vote together on this, and if that outcome is against the project, then you would pose your case when the developer inevitably appeals to the state. So I'm here for nothing more than to implore you guys, on behalf of all the Pembroke residents here, to please vote no on this project, to vote against it, and represent our will. It's clearly against everyone's interest except the developers, so we please ask you to take our side and represent the concern that this project has presented itself to us. Thank you.
Thank you. This part about the fire. Did they get that?
They did get a copy of this,
Okay.
yes.
Dean, did you see the comment from the fire? I know it just came in.
no, when did it come in? Just recently?
I thought Susan gave you a copy.
Yes, Sue sent that, right?
Yeah.
I can pull, I did see it.
Okay.
I mean, if there are any conditions required, we'll need.
That'll get addressed.
Yeah, there's nothing there
Okay.
that had concerned us.
Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Marilyn Cicello, and I've lived in my house now for 60 years. And I want to know what the percentage, if we put this 40B in, what is the percentage that we're going to get to add to our 10%? Because I don't want the neighborhood ruined with all these houses.
I don't know what that. Every unit gets counted.
Yeah. So,
but I don't know the percentage.
so right now the town is at, right now the published number that the town is at is 8.87. That number is not definite because we don't have a real-time, up-to-date number, but that's the number that's published, is 8.87. Right now, you have 615 affordable units in town, and you need 693. So you are 78 units short. This project will give you 21 units. So it'll bring you up to probably in the 9s.
Now, I was told that we only, it's going to be 2%, that's all it was going to add to the neighborhood, to right there.
2% would get you over 10%, if that's the case.
I was told we weren't up that high.
Wouldn't it not, wait, sorry. Wouldn't it?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wouldn't it also not raise the percentage because, yeah, we're adding affordable housing, but we're also increasing the number of houses that are not 40B housing, so the percentage doesn't get any higher?
No, this is 100%. You get 100% of these units. Because they're rental.
Right, so like in the Water Street project, there's 25% of those would be counted, and the other 75% wouldn't. In these cases with the rentals, you get, even though a percentage of them are rental, are affordable, you get to count all of them.
And even though we denied Water Street, well, because we denied Water Street and Water Street got appealed, we as a town won't get any credits for those until they get a certified occupancy permit, because we denied it. The other one, Copperwood, I believe, that we just, I didn't sit on it, but it was approved. When the building permit's pulled, the town will get credit for those. So those two recent ones, we've received no credit for as of yet. The Water Street one will be down the road, probably way down the road, but then the other one,
But we will eventually.
until then, just for a little bit of clarity on the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Darren Doherty at 139 Lake Street. Quick question on the affordable housing count. With the new ADU laws coming in, does that count towards it?
That's a good question.
It does not. The ADUs specifically do not go to density. It states it in the regulations.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Dean, do you have anything else? No. Okay. Oh, one more.
Hi, my name is Lynn McDaniel. I live at 128 Lake Street, and I've been in town for 41 years. My concern is this. I walked down there and I looked at the house. Now, the inside might be lovely, but the outside is a disgrace. There are parts of the house on the ground. There are parts of the house hanging off. The windows are crooked. The landlord doesn't do a thing, apparently. There's trash all over the yard.
Hey, guys.
There's trash.
Guys.
She's a veteran, how dare you. I can walk down the street and take a picture.
Josh. Dean.
I was...
Guys. I know, but if we're gonna do that, then
Okay.
people are gonna have to leave, okay?
I just wanted to prove a point that if that landlord doesn't address things like that, is that what the place is gonna look like? Because it already looks like shambles, so what's gonna prevent the apartments from doing the same? And it's incredible, if you walk down there and look, you'd be horrified. I feel sorry for new neighbors who live there and have to look at this now, before they even put up what I call a motel. It's kind of what it looks like. And if there's nobody caring for it, there's nobody caring for this.
Okay, thank you.
And I thought it was kind of interesting, not the last meeting, because that was canceled, but the meeting before. I had mentioned to the builder, gee, I noticed that you had a sign out there on the green building, and the sign is gone. Did the town make you take the sign down? His response to that was, yeah, but I'm friends with the building department. Gives you food for thought.
Wow, is that how he's gonna act on
That's the kind of people we're bringing down. That's the kind of people we're bringing down.
I mean, I've never met that man, but she shouldn't have done that.
Wait, guys.
No, but I didn't take pictures.
Excuse me, we're not. Excuse me, we gotta stop.
I'm just saying though, I mean.
No.
That is ridiculous.
We heard your comment. If you have a comment specific to the project, which you already did.
I'm shocked.
Okay.
I'm shocked at how.
Okay.
Come on, we're not helping
guys.
Hello, everyone. Everyone having fun. Yes. Anyways, I'm
I'm Donna Canone, I live on Standish Street.
Hi, Donna.
And I'm gonna sit if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Okay, thank you. Not for nothing, but you don't have to walk onto the property to see that it's already neglected. And I hope that that is addressed. And this does not impress me at all, these people handling it like this.
Guys, look, enough.
So anyways, I would like the question, everyone's asked questions about the parking. How is that being addressed? There aren't enough spots for people. If you have a birthday party, people coming over, where are those excess cars supposed to go? On the streets or what?
So I think that the parking is a concern. So hopefully the developer is listening to that.
Doesn't appear as though he is.
The representative's still here, thank goodness. Yeah, so I think the parking has to be addressed. The gentleman pointed out the bylaw states that it's 2 spaces per unit. You need to check on that, because if that is the case, your plan is wrong. The zoning table on your plan says only 25 spaces are required. And Mr. Webby might be looking at a different town's bylaw, because he's going by bedroom. So if you could check on that. With regard to parking for a birthday party, so, as an example, I think that is up to the police. If the parking on the street is dangerous, they will make they'll make those cars move.
But at what
there
cost,
has to be at least the parking that's required in the bylaw, or they have to ask for a waiver. And once the public hearing is closed, the board has 40 days to deliberate on a decision. And during that process, they will vote on each waiver that has been requested. And that's a waiver where that waiver would come before the board, and they would say, okay, are we going to allow them to reduce the parking? And based on the comments from tonight and in the past, that's what the board will take all of that into consideration when they decide on that one waiver. They're going to do each waiver individually.
Okay, so if it's up to the town and they start putting up no parking signs, you'll be towed and all that, who does that fall under to pay for, the town or the builder?
We have, under our requirements, we all have a private management company that will have rules and regs, just like any other apartment development. And in there will be specific no parking. If you continue to park in a no parking, they will have your car towed, and it's your responsibility to pay it to get
And
your
this is
car
on
out.
the surrounding streets, I'm
Right,
saying.
and then if they keep on the violations, they will get, basically, their agreement will get canceled, and they will no longer be able to live there. I mean, this is a professionally managed development. It's required as part of our process to make sure that's all. So we'll have a management plan. We'll also have a management agreement, and we'll have rules and regs that the board can make as a condition to see prior to us pulling building permits. They can make sure, they can state in there that if the the police chief find issues with cars parking illegally, it can force us to make additional parking accommodations.
Okay, is the professional management the people that are storming out? Is that?
No.
Okay, I don't know. This is my first time going to the meeting. I haven't been able to attend the other one, so that's why I asked. Thank you. Do you all get the letters that people send in to you, but you don't read them at the meetings?
We get all the letters, yep, they're part of the record and we review them.
Okay, because someone had asked me to read something tonight. I was wondering if I could. It was basically,
What is it?
okay, oh gosh, it's gonna take me a second to find it. Somebody want to behind me? Well, it was basically saying, so the people that are moving in are going to not be tax-paying residents, correct? But is there any way that there can be contingency made that those people would contribute to the schooling or the fire services, the police services, and things like that?
This property will pay real estate taxes as required by any other commercial or development, residential development, which is an apartment. We don't get away from going past any tax
Okay.
regulations.
Okay, now, you had said, and then it sounded like it was a little contradictory, but I wanted to confirm, it is gonna be made a four-way stop sign? And there are gonna have, those flashing or something in advance of, you know, up ahead you got a stop sign, or it's gonna be illuminated?
That's not from us. The town is doing it on their own. These are existing conditions. We are not responsible for existing conditions.
Right, but, so with existing right now, it's a two-way, very dangerous, but the proposal is to have a four-way?
It's not the applicant's proposal. The DPW is working with the state to have a four-way stop
And
line.
they can say that they're not gonna do it, right? If they chose to?
Well, it's not part of it. It's not their decision.
Whose decision is it then?
It's the state and the DPW.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, this is something that the Public Works Director was already working on prior to and accelerated his efforts. You guys got to hear from him, and tonight his name is Joe, relatively new on the job, but he's been a foreman here for decades. And he was really pleased to come in and explain it. Four-way stop, LED lights all the way around, just like you said, and it has nothing to do with this project.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, oh, I know, there's a difference. I talked to probably the same gentleman that you did and was told there's nothing we can do. Either it's going to be a friendly 40B or an unfriendly 40B. And this gentleman has already stated via Facebook posting that he is going to go unfavorably. He's going to push for the unfriendly 4B if it doesn't go through, which I don't like being threatened like that. I don't know about anybody else. But again, I don't think anybody's opposed to having affordable housing, but just that area is just not the right area with the school buses and everything. Where I live, sometimes the traffic, I'm on Standish Street, and it can be backed up going Lake, it can be backed up at Standish, and it's definitely backed up in Hockomock. And that's not without the additional cars that are going to be added.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, Abigail Niven again.
Sure.
Dean. Angela. You want to grab Dean's attention?
Sorry.
Dean, I just wanted to clarify, could you please let everybody in the audience know, do you or do you not have the backing of the VA to get assistance to place veterans within this project?
Yes, we're
Thank you.
working with the local veterans group to have them included as part of the local preference of the 70%.
Thanks, Dan. Okay. Does anyone else have any other comment? And you can make a comment. Just try not to be duplicative. I mean, I definitely hear everyone's concerns. I know the area. I live in the town, and been here for a while. So, but we don't just need to hear more of the same. That's all.
Yeah, this one's new.
No,
So,
good.
Connor Gibbons, 153 Lake Street. So the house directly to my left, just went on the market in October, and I think I can attest that 3 or 4 houses have sold quickly prior to people finding out about this project. The one next to me didn't sell for, I think it was until a couple of weeks ago. 2 friends of mine who also grew up in the town put in offers on it, got offers accepted, found about this project, retracted their offers and backed out. So I think that just shows something about the kind of the desirability of the project and like wanting to live across the street from her, even on the same street. So that's just another concern. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. Anyone else?
Looking, excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just following up on some of the parking questions that have come up.
Yep.
The reference about the 2 off-site parking per unit is specifically regarding ADU units under section. Huh? Yeah, it's not quoting the right section of the bylaw.
No,
Talking to the microphone, please.
I said, based on the review of the local bylaws, residential A zone, The reference of the 2 units per unit, parking per unit, is under section 5. Yeah. Okay, I thought he was talking about this section about LIP projects. Yeah.
But this is the zoning bylaw.
That's what I thought I was looking at. I was looking at a different section there. Okay, gotcha. We'll look into that one.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Sue Parkinson again. Obviously, the developer left with, he was pretty upset. But this is my first meeting that I've been watching it and hearing about it. And has anybody sat down with the developer and asked him in any way, shape, or form if he would consider scaling back? I know he's spent, probably hundreds of thousands on plans and the property and stuff like that. Or what will he give to us in exchange when he builds all of these apartments? Is he willing to put sidewalks near his house or a few houses down for the safety of the children and his tenants? It just seems like he could give a little more instead of take and collect all these rents. But do we have a right to ask something from him? This is, something that he's going to be collecting rent for many, many years from some of the quotes that he's left. But I just think he could do a little more and give a little more. Nobody's against affordable housing. Nobody's against him using his lot of land. It's just the size of the project. You don't have to be so greedy thinking of all the numbers that you're going to get. Pretty much we could see his personality and being so upset with some of the things that were said or pictures being taken. Everybody's got worries about this. But I just think maybe he might like to come back to Pembroke again and build some more. But he's kind of burning his bridges with his attitude. So,
Mr. Chairman, through you to the woman that was just speaking. To give you a little bit of background, this project before it came in front of the ZBA was a year in process. We met with the Affordable Housing Group numerous times. We got a letter of support. The original application was 26 units for this project, which we then cut down to the current number based on conversations we had with the Affordable Housing Trust and the selectmen. If you all probably might or might not, we met with the selectmen. The selectmen endorsed the project, which is why we did a LIP, which is supposed to be a local friendly permit. So yes, we have made concessions. One thing about frustration is in a 3-year project, I think he's feeling some of the frustration tonight. Not an excuse, but just a frustration of 3 years and basically going through, making concessions, working to what we feel is the best project that takes into consideration. We have to meet all state requirements. If we get a local bylaw passed, we're not asking for a lot of passes. We're asking for basically zoning relief. The use in this district, we're asking for that. There's an existing house that we have to, it's grandfathered in, but we still have to address it. So there has been some give and take. Maybe not enough for you all folks, all you folks, but we have made those concessions.
Hi, Katrina Doherty. I live at 139 Lake Street, which is right across from the project.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions. In one of the plans, I had read that they were installing a sidewalk, so I'm just curious, is that not happening now?
Yeah, go ahead, Deb.
So the sidewalk that's being proposed was one that we discussed with them with respect to.
Deb, can you I'm sorry, just the TV guy's gonna kill me.
My apologies. So the sidewalk that is proposed within the project is within the site, so it would come from the existing proposed buildings down to a bus stop location so that the kids don't have to walk through the parking lot area to get down to get picked up from the bus. But my understanding is there is not a sidewalk on Lake Street to tie a sidewalk to, but I would defer to the applicant for that.
So it's more of just a path through their parking lot. It's not necessarily a sidewalk around the property. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, it's more internal sidewalk circulation. Correct, I mean, we could put one out front, but it goes nowhere. And it just tends to lead to, there's a section here, but there's no other section. So.
Okay.
We see
I just
that
have
often
3 little
happen.
kids right across the street, so just curious about the safety.
Mhm.
And then another question, the house that's the existing house now, is that being rented out as just one house, or is that being divided into bedroom
No,
rentals?
that's just one house that contains 5 bedrooms.
Okay,
That's
because I
how it's
thought I
listed.
read in one of the plans that
And
it was
that
going
will
to
be
be
put in the
rented.
decision that you can't change that. Anything that goes in the decision is good for 99 plus years in perpetuity unless we come back and ask for relief. So anything is in a decision that's granted either here or at the state level basically has that requirement.
I saw something about the existing house. Are you changing the septic for that, and where is that going?
It's on the plans, yes, we are changing.
But did it make it 50 feet from like their property or?
That's not even close to that property.
And remember, to a septic, that's all gonna go before the Board of Health. We don't decide on the septic.
Will that be announced? Like, will a meeting be announced?
Yeah, I assume it would go on an agenda with the Board of Health. Yeah, you should reach out to the town, sure. I don't know when, but.
Yeah.
Okay, Dean, do you have anything else you need to, does anyone else have any other comments? Okay, so I think what we'll do now is we'll close the meeting, and then we're gonna have another date, like next month? May
Mr. Chair,
19th,
I'd like
yes.
to remind you, tonight's the end of the 180 days. So we are requesting that the public hearing be closed.
That's
He
what.
just said he's closing.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
My
so
postpone.
we're gonna close the public hearing, and then we're gonna have another meeting where we're gonna go over the decision and the waivers. Everyone can come to that, but there'll be no more comment, okay?
Excuse me, is this the only meeting that comments have been allowed at? I guess I haven't.
They've been at every meeting so far. There's been comment, not the first meeting, because that's more of like a introductory setup meeting, but the other meeting, yes. What's our next dates? May 19th. Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the public portion. Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
I'm sorry, can I ask one more question? I'm sorry, I apologize.
All right, I'll give you one more, go ahead.
So, given that this is going forward, and if the project is approved, we're talking about friendly and unfriendly, friendly being that we have a say in some things about it. Do abutters contact you? Do we contact this developer if we want something to be heard? I'm terrified about, for example, the wall or lack of it, the fence that's going to go between us. I'd like to address that. I'd like to be respectfully spoken to about what's going to be between my property and their property. Who do I speak to about that? I'm just wondering, when you talk about, they'll give all of these considerations if we do it friendly. Well, who's going to give these considerations, and who do I speak to? That's my question.
Well, I think you could,
There's someone leaving the room that way.
you could speak to,
Speak to me, Dean Harrison, I'm the consultant. I can give you my information after the meeting. We can talk about what type of fence. We have offered to provide fencing. We've offered to provide vegetation, where we've noted it. We have presented that. It's in the plans, and we've already presented some of that. But if you have a preference, obviously we'll love to hear what you'd like to look at or like to have.
Thank you.
So what could you tell us now, do you think? Would you prefer a fence?
20 feet high?
I would prefer a fence, a significant fence, and I would prefer quite a bit of greenery in between us so that we're not looking at a cityscape.
Yep.
We can't plant on your property without permission, just to let you know. We cannot plant on your property without permission. All right, so we should talk to this a little bit more. We can put a fence on our property line, but we cannot go on your property line. So if we were gonna talk about what you'd like to do, we can discuss that after the meeting.
So Deb, does it look like there's any room for vegetation, or is that part of the drainage basin?
This is for access to the basin, a level area, so they wouldn't right along the property.
Okay, so
They want to do any sort of vegetation.
it would have to be on the
Have to be on there.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so we'll make that motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'll make a motion to continue for our deliberations to May 19th. Location to be determined. 7 o'clock. Get a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All right. Thank you, everybody. May 19th.
All right, guys, we have another matter up right now. If we could just show some respect to them, they waited for you.
Yeah, okay. I would have said if I wasn't, don't worry. Just jumped in.
I was here so I got the tail end of that. Yeah,
I was not.
I know, I'm confused about that.
What, the Shepherds one?
You guys are here for the 19th edition, right?
Yeah.
We're good for the 19th edition.
Oh, yeah. I've been all of them.
Yeah.
I've been all of them. Somebody had to do them.
All right, yeah, so,
School Street.
yeah, just gonna let them.
Building 3.
That's a nice emergency one that you're that one that should really make us continue.
That's,
Yeah, he had a lot more at stake there because he was making a power move by taking all the
here, that's the
Or it could be a side setback. Probably smaller, maybe side, side setback.
Okay, we'll figure it out, but it's just back.
Okay, all right.
Figure out the parking.
Sounds like a building project.
Yeah.
All right, can I jump into this next one?
Not really, we can.
I got a chair, this chair will go through that one.
All right, we're gonna start our next meeting, so we do need, if you're here for that, you're welcome to stay. If not, and the building closes at 9, so we gotta get the next applicants in here, so. All right, so notice is hereby given that the Pembroke Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, April 14, 2025, Pembroke Community Center on the application of Jason Cook from Somewhere Else Tavern, Inc., requesting a variance in accordance with the zoning bylaws, Town of Pembroke, Section 43D1, side yard setback, referring to Section 41D3 in Residential District A, to construct a temporary seasonal tent with front, rear, and side offsets, side setback. With placement will be 5 feet, 20-foot setback is required for the side yard. The establishment is located at 65 School Street, Pembroke, Business District A. A copy of the application is available at the office of the Planning Board in the Pembroke Town Hall. Okay, so who do we have here for that? Why don't you come on up? Actually, yeah, you probably go to the, I'm sorry.
I think we have. I want to show the plan
Sure.
to all these people that are still here.
Yeah. Yeah, help yourself. Yeah, we have many people at home. Is it not coming up?
It came up 3 hours ago. Is that something?
I mean, we have the plan.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right. My name is Joe Danubio from Danubio Consulting LLC. I'm here on behalf of Somewhere Else Tavern, Inc. For a temporary tent site plan located at 65 School Street. The plan is shown on the board here. The existing site consists of a restaurant building and associated parking. The owner is proposing, as they have put this tent up for the last 5 years in the summer, seasonally, to have a temporary temporary tent for probably some music and dining. I don't think there's a whole lot to this plan. As you see on the right there, we have a seating plan for the tent. The site plan on the left. In the middle, I'm showing the offsets, so we are requesting a variance. That's the purpose of this, us coming before you tonight. I'm not gonna read the section over, I think you already indicated it earlier. So basically it conforms to all the zoning regulations except for that left offset. It's required to be a 20-foot offset. We're showing a 5-foot offset for this temporary structure. Simply stated, we're just requesting that variance. Are there any questions?
Anything changing this year versus previous years?
No, you know what, would it be okay if I just showed you a photo of what it looked like in the past?
Sure.
I think that might be helpful to the board if you haven't been there.
It's all the same.
So what I did is, you know, to apply for this, and it just as a side note, we will be going before the planning board for site plan approval, I think in 2 weeks at their hearing. But as part of the submission that you guys here have, there's site photos in the last sheet and the staple copy. But I don't think if you want to see those, we could. But I think right here kind of indicates what they've done in the past. So there's Route 27. This is the existing restaurant structure. So that's what a visual of what the tent has looked like in the past. I believe Somewhere Else Tavern, they're proposing to do it in the same manner and fashion, so that's pretty much what it will look like.
Okay. Is it coming down in the winters, or is it?
Oh,
Yeah, it's just seasonally, yeah.
Okay, so it comes down in the winters, okay.
There'd be no need for it, it would sustain the weather. I own EV tent rental 38 years now.
Oh, if you're gonna speak, you just gotta talk about Mike. Or you can come up next to your engineer. Sorry.
Address you by your first name, Rick?
Yes.
Yeah, Rick, this structure won't stay up. We'll hopefully put it up in May if we get approved on everything. It'll come down Thanksgiving-ish. Given the weather in New England, I've owned AB tent rental for 38 years now. There'd be no need to keep it up, and it would be, you know, accessible to storms or whatnot this time of, you know, that time of year in New England, of course.
Okay. Since it's been up, any complaints from any of the neighbors or from noise?
You're always going to have some people complain, but we've never had any major problems there. When we have music, we're very respectful. We start at 7, we close at 10. There's never been any police activity, no fighting and things like that. It's a friendly spot. We do a lot of fundraisers, meat raffles, bago tournaments, things like that. We just did one inside for Silver Lake Pembroke baseball team. We got another one coming up. It's a cool, friendly place to go to, and it's not a 1 o'clock in the morning thing. We have had, you know, years ago, we did have a problem with some noise. We turned it down and everything was okay. So some music is louder than others, but it's, you know, Aerosmith isn't coming there to play. And as I said, we stop at 10 o'clock. We feel that's a very reasonable and respectable time to shut everything down. I want to be home in my jammy pants by 10:30 if I can too, so.
What days of the week you doing the music?
Just be on Friday and Saturday nights, guys, unless we had, you know, we've offered birthday parties. We just got a proposal for a bago tournament in the fall for a Silver Lake or Pembroke High School team. We did it last year, super successful, a lot of fun, family thing. You know, the kids, it's pet friendly, they can bring their dogs. It's a family place.
Okay. And is it live music or is it?
Yeah, yes,
live
sir.
Music? Okay. Is there any? I've been there to the restaurant before. Is there any sort of soundproofing or anything on that side?
Well, the music goes away from the building, and that's where all the commercial buildings are, which is closed for the night. Quality Air, the machine shop, Abway, down towards the package store. There's no residents on our side of the road. In the past, we have used soundproof blankets on the back of we have a bandstand, you know, not bandstand, but stage with a background, so it does, make the music go off towards the power lines.
And that's shown on the seating plan too there, the stage.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you got anything?
I live less than a mile away from there, so I drive by that even with the tent up like every year, multiple times a day in the summer. It fits. It doesn't seem like it's out of place or anything like that. So.
I don't think you can even, I mean, you can barely even see it from the road.
No, it definitely fits. It's not like
You
it's
wouldn't even
obnoxious.
know it was there.
Yeah.
Is, I assume positioning wise, you really can't put it elsewhere.
No, that's why we've asked for the variance, gentlemen. If I took, if I went 20 feet off that left-hand property line, we'd be in the middle of the parking lot. Then it would be a danger for other parking and whatnot. So that's the only way it can actually work, and it's been that way this would be the 5th season, so we feel that would be the best spot, only spot for it. If we can't do it, we wouldn't be able to do it, put it that way.
Was there room in the back at one point? Did you ever try that? Or was there not enough space?
No, because we need that for a little bit of additional parking. Then it turns to gravel back there. We've put brand-new pavements so that it's safe for people walking over, so they're not walking on gravel and twisting their ankle on stones and things like that. So we repaved the parking lot a couple of years ago for safety of our guests.
Okay. So as of now, would it be Friday, Saturday, as far as music, 7 to 10 be the hours, or up, you wouldn't be going past 10 o'clock at night? Okay. Are you using it otherwise, like people just go out there and have food on like a Thursday, or is it?
We've tried in the past to open it during other hours and other days, but it's always a help issue also. So we're going to try to just stick to the weekends. If somebody wanted to have a bridal shower out there on a Thursday evening and we could staff it, things like that. We've had bereavements there. We decorate it with flowers. It looks cool. People enjoy it out there, so it could be used for other purposes as well. But those are mostly during the day.
As far as the music, that's Friday, Saturday?
That's correct. That's it. Yep.
All right. You guys have anything else? Yeah, just hop up to the mic.
Every Friday and Saturday night last year was miserable for us in our house because of the noise in the somewhere else town.
Okay.
We could hear the music every night, and we are well outside the 350 feet noise ordinance order. So I actually had to go to the town to Ms. Chilcott here to raise our concerns about just when I found that, in fact, there is no such thing as an outdoor entertainment license in Pembroke.
I can't hear him.
I can't hear anything.
You can just speak up, but I think that vacuum's kind of drowning you out. Well, you got to talk into the mic.
Can we start at the beginning again?
Yeah, because I don't think they...
Okay. Every Friday and Saturday last summer, autumn, was miserable for us in our house because of the noise from your tavern. I ended up having to complain to the town about it, and they told me that, in fact, they had mentioned to you in the past that there is no such thing as an outdoor entertainment license in Pembroke, yet, and that maybe you had indicated that these were private events, when in fact these were events that were publicised on your Facebook page and clearly were not private. We had to have our windows closed all summer, all fall. Couldn't sit outside in our backyard and enjoy the weather. We had to order a new fire pit, which we couldn't use. What else was I going to point out? You say that, I don't want you, obviously don't want to put you guys out of business here, but everything you said about the noise from your tavern was wrong, because we are well outside the 350-foot noise ordinance distance, and our neighbours even further away could still hear the noise as well, and we shouldn't be able to hear it. you know, Sweet Caroline is pretty irritating when you hear it at the end of every Red Sox game. I don't really want to hear it blaring into my bathroom when I'm going up to clean my teeth at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. And that's what was happening all last year. So, you know, given that, you know, you seem to be under the impression that you're running a quiet house. I think the evidence of residents like myself and our neighbours is completely different. You're not running a quiet house. It is noisy. It does go beyond 10. It doesn't stop at 10. It doesn't go beyond 10:30, sure, but it does go beyond 10. And it's not how I want to spend my Friday and Saturday evenings, listening to your music.
Okay.
It's just Friday, Saturday.
Friday and Saturdays is when they were doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
I like music. I mean, but I will tell you, the Buzzcocks had a great song, and it was called "Noise a Noise," and it does. When you don't want it, it really annoys. And
Understood.
you know, that's what it was like for us every weekend last year.
Okay.
And I actually, of course, left my phone at home, but I could even record the noise on my phone.
Okay.
Which I did on several occasions, and to show to the town manager.
Sure.
So
We got okay. So noise, obviously, that's
it is a
that's
concern. Yeah.
And
we just want them to be. We just want them to be good neighbours, and you know, if this is something that they really want to do, I don't know why a permanent building isn't put up with with appropriate soundproofing or something like that. A couple of weeks ago, we went to the Tolson Tavern, and they had music playing there. And when we left, music was still going on. As soon as we shut the door and walked into the parking lot, we couldn't hear the music anymore.
No, understood.
And we're
okay.
600 feet away from the Somewhere Else Tavern, and we can hear the music.
Okay.
And we're not the only ones.
Let me do this. We have to leave here in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to address? Do you want to maybe continue this and have some discussions? Because right now, I mean, he's got a big issue with noise. If you want an opportunity to maybe address the noise.
Well, music is, with all due respect, music is going to be somewhat loud. It's an outside venue. We're looking for a special permit for outside venue. No disrespect, I'm sorry you don't like the music that we've chosen to play there. I don't know, it's none of my business where you live and how loud it is at your home. And I respectfully, I'm not done yet.
Guys.
I'm respectfully apologizing to you if I'm disrupting your summer. However, it's commercially zoned, and we are trying to make a living there. And we do a lot of good things there, and we have a lot of fun there. We can definitely try to, I don't know which direction you're in, we can definitely maybe try to put up some other sound barriers and definitely watch the volume. But people like to go outside and listen to classic rock and roll music and whatnot, and that's what we're trying to do there. This is a very tough industry, and it's something that helps us there tremendously. That building has been a bar restaurant type place for a lot of years, and we feel that we've made it better, and I'm sorry that the noise is disruptive to you.
Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna stop.
Oh.
We just don't have enough time to, and I don't want to hastily make a decision. I think we could continue this to the next meeting. You guys okay with that? Chris?
Yeah, sorry, I thought somebody shut the lights off. I'm like, for real? We sit here for hours and hours on end, and we're getting rushed out of the building. Yeah, who cares?
I think your
So
name,
we
yeah.
can come back on the 24th, if I'm not mistaken, gentlemen.
No, that's planning board. That's
Planning board, yes.
Our next meeting is May 19th. As we sit here, I think, addressing some of these noise issues, and maybe even speaking with the butter here.
All right, well,
and then we can.
That might affect my whole season. I've got a lot of bookings, and that's not your fault. That's my fault for thinking that this would work. I have to make some phone calls and tell people that this is not gonna happen evidently, or we can address it, and maybe come to some kind of a agreement, but
You guys have any other thoughts, or, I mean, you can put it to a vote if you want, but.
I mean, could you put it to a vote with some contingencies, perhaps, about noise?
Yeah, I just wouldn't be able, I don't think we could put that together in the next 2 minutes. I just, you know, I mean, it's a variance, it's a lot of relief. You know, you're asking for 15 feet. They're really, you know, there's obviously a standard for the variance, and,
Well, it isn't, I mean, it's not like it's a permanent structure, it's a temporary structure.
right, but I mean, the variance is a variance, right? You still need to meet the standard. And I'm not saying it, I just haven't been articulated to me, but I mean, the lot looks kind of small and oddly, the size doesn't matter, but it's oddly shaped.
What's oddly shaped?
The lot.
Oh, yeah, well, it goes back pretty far, yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of undeveloped area in the rear of the lot.
Right. But, yeah, I couldn't, I mean, you can put it to a vote now if you want, but I don't have any thought on conditions at this moment. I'd have to.
I mean, I'd have to think conditionally. I mean, I don't have a problem putting it to a vote, but I don't want, I mean, it's kind of I don't want to make or break your season. I'm not trying to be financially, you know, I'm not trying to take food off your table, but in the same respect, I'm not trying to take food off your table. You know, it comes to a vote now, and it is what it is, and it is what it is. But if it, you know, whether it's a win or lose.
I mean, I'd like to see something just to address the sound. You know, I think that's fair for the neighbor.
I believe I mentioned that, yeah. I just don't know which way to divert the sound. I mean, you're a band, the music's going that way. If he's behind me, I don't know how I could possibly make that difference. I mean, we do own soundproof blankets, and we've used those before. They did seem to appease the neighbors years ago. We can most definitely try that again, for sure. I'd be willing to try to appease everybody.
Okay. Well, my thought is, as I sit here now, I think I need to see some more on the sound, and if you want to present some sort of conditions that would address that, and, you know.
They must have done something different last year, because we didn't, we don't remember any issues in previous years. Last year was just,
Okay.
miserable.
Right, okay.
So-
He actually had to shut the doors to hear television.
Right. Do you guys want to maybe address that and speak with the neighbor and maybe?
I'm just the engineer, so.
No,
Yeah,
and come up with something?
we haven't really done
Not-
anything different, so
Okay.
I don't know how we can address it.
I'd suggest,
If it goes to just a guy sitting on a stool playing the acoustic guitar, that's not gonna make any financial differences for us, and we would, we'd be forced to sell the restaurant. So we can come up with any kind of sound barrier. I'm not a sound person. I'm a tent owner, business-wise, restaurant owner. I'm not a sound person. I don't know how to divert sound. I'm not a sound check person. Also I've ever done was try to use soundproof blanketing, and it appeared to help, so.
Okay.
We could try, I would buy more if it helped this gentleman. I don't want any unhappy neighbors. It's
Sure.
not my intent. Maybe you could come and have dinner some night and see what we do there, but evidently you don't like our music, so maybe that wouldn't work, but it would be nice if you stepped foot, I'm not done yet. It'd be nice if you came over and came into the place and see what we do there, but that's entirely your priority, sir.
yes.
Could we do like a conditional continuation, like he does the blankets for now, kick it back for a month?
That sounds like a great idea.
I don't think we can, what do you mean, conditionally give the variance?
Yeah.
I don't think we can
Can't
get
do
a
that.
vote on it or not.
Yeah.
I think we have to vote on exactly what's in front of us.
Yeah.
The
So-
stage you're at, there isn't even a live entertainment permit for outdoors yet.
Right.
We don't even have site plan from planning board yet.
Right.
So it would be tricky. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. Well, that's where I mean, if you guys want to maybe present something more on the soundproofing and talk to the gentleman here, and then we can come back, and then, you know, that would probably make me feel better about allowing it, but, you know, if we got a neighbor who's, you know, it's a lot of relief. I mean, I totally understand what you're trying to do. I'm not against the project, but I think we got to address the neighbor's issue.
Neighbor, we're not we're not on.
No, I understand.
And we're-
So is that something you guys would be willing to do, and then we can have you back in?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to continue. When's, I'm sorry, so is there an earlier meeting, or?
May 19th.
That's the soonest one? When's your planning board meeting?
Next week, week is Thursday.
I think it's the 24th.
April 28th.
28th, yeah.
28th, okay. Can we get them in before the 19th, or is that the earliest we got?
Can we do it special?
just have to work with everyone's schedule and get back to you.
Okay. Why don't we say the 19th?
How often do you meet? Twice a month?
Once a month.
Oh, just once.
That's all right. If why don't we say for now, we can, if you guys are fine, we'll do the 19th, but we'll try to work, try to find another date too that's sooner.
Yeah, I'm flexible. I can figure it out.
I don't care if we gotta sit in the janitor's closet. You know, I mean, I'm not, if
So
we're
how-
gonna,
how would-
how much time
would that
would
work?
I don't wanna shut somebody down.
Need for what?
If you guys were gonna address some of the sound.
I don't even know how to do it.
Well, that's not the right answer.
But, you know,
We can. I think we can have a conversation. I think it would be wise if we met with
I would think so.
Absolutely,
the gentleman
sure.
again and sat down and maybe we could have a discussion.
2 weeks.
2
I'm
weeks.
just trying to think to get
2 weeks.
Ginny as soon as.
We can be ready as soon as you gentlemen want to put it
You guys do
together.
2 weeks?
We'd be at your mercy.
Available May 5th.
Cinco de Mayo?
Oh, wait, only if there's coronas.
What day is that? Is that a month?
Yeah, I'm available.
It's either May
I'm
5th
available,
or
sure.
it's either May 5th, the 21st of this month, or the 28th of this month.
28th, we're meeting with the planning board.
Does it have to be, can it be like a Wednesday, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter to me.
I can do whatever needs to.
What's
I think we're available to accommodate everybody here. And whatever
Absolutely.
Actually, I can't do May 5th.
What are we doing the 23rd?
How about the 23rd? That's a week.
It's the day before the planning board?
Well, planning board's 28th.
The 28th.
28th, either way, sorry, I thought you said the 24th.
Does one of those work?
Which date did you say?
23rd, I guess it's a Wednesday. We don't usually meet, but we'll come in for you guys.
That would be great,
You
John.
know what, and again, we greatly appreciate that. It's,
Yeah.
you're going out of your way.
No, why don't we do that? Why don't,
A week
yes,
from
we
Wednesday?
just do a quick
7
meeting here.
o'clock, April 23rd?
We can do it anywhere in the town hall.
Okay.
You need to secure a room and we'll do it there.
Yeah, we can always do it work on my.
All right, we'll do
Thank
it.
you, guys.
We'll make it work.
Is
So,
everyone 7 o'clock?
7
Sure.
o'clock.
7 o'clock, April 23rd?
Yep, whatever it is.
Okay, so you guys connect. All right, so I'll make a motion to continue this hearing to April 23rd, 2025, 7 PM. It'll be in the town hall.
Okay, and I'll get in touch with Sabrina,
Okay.
whoever, what room we'll be in, right?
We won't have to listen to an hour and 45 minutes of other stuff.
Can I get a second? Second. All's in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Big plans that night?
Give me your minutes.
I just feel like Matthew's got it ingrained in me, like he hasn't been around forever, and it's still in the back of my brain, like, you got the minutes, the clerical.
Yes, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
See you guys later.